It doesn't want to connect. We'll see if it stays live. Anyways, how are you guys? I'm painting out here in my garage. It's super hot. It's like 100 degrees. And I am working on the piece that I lit on fire. And I think it's gonna actually be really cool. And right now I'm just layering. So I'm just adding colors, adding depth, and layering all of it. I thought it would be fun to hop on for a minute and say hi and just paint live with you guys. So I'm gonna turn the camera and so you can see what I'm doing. But please feel free to say hi, tell me where you're from, what you're doing today, and I'll just kind of let you guys watch a little bit, and then we'll come around. Let's see, where's the best? That's pretty good. So far on this, I've added some raised stenciling, I've added texture, kind of see some texture in here. I did a black base, added some chocolate, a little bit of gold, and now I'm just adding weather vane. So this is all Wise Owl. So, and we said, what did you use to light it on fire? Okay, so here's the scoop on it, all right? Because I've had a lot of people ask, like, what were you thinking? So I did an epoxy pour on the top of this piece. Kind of like a marbly look, all right? And I did some different colors in it. When you do an epoxy pour, you use a torch to let the epoxy settle and to get out any air bubbles or imperfections in it, right? And you just heat it and then it pulls those air bubbles and stuff out. And I also decided that I was going to use some alcohol, spray some 91% alcohol on it to give like a bubbly cool effect on it. And when you spray that, you wait a while before you torch it. And I just was like really into it, and I was just decided I was just gonna go ahead and torch it. So I did. And I thought it would flame a little bit, but the whole thing started flaming, and I was actually recording it. It was on slow-mo, so it wasn't like I was just sitting around. It seems like I was sitting there, but I really wasn't. I had it on slow-mo, and I was recording it, and then I realized that some of the epoxy and alcohol had dripped down onto the tarp. So the tarp started catching fire, the drop cloth, and literally, like, at that moment, I stopped video. I chucked my phone in the corner of the garage. And I took off for the hose. No, I grabbed the tarps and put the fire out, and I took off for the hose, and I like had to spray the whole thing down because it was on fire. So yeah, no, it wasn't totally intentional to do that. It kind of just happened that way. But all in all, it had a couple little burn spots on the top, and the rest of it looked pretty cool. So I sanded down the burn spots and I left them open. I added a raised stencil onto it. And I'm just finishing up the side, so I'm gonna turn this around so you guys can see the top of it, and then I'll show you the front that I'm working on, so you can actually see it. But I added the raised stencil, and today I added a little bit of gold over top of that raised stencil, and it is it's really cool. So let's see, Betty. This is a raised stencil. So I used a stencil from Redesign with Prima, and I used 3D fiber paste to create the 3D effect. And I've done it on both sides of the desk and the front side as well. And then I added some texture so you can kind of see some of the texture in here. And now I'm just starting to layer it. So I'm adding a bunch of layers, so we'll have a lot of depth. We'll have different colors showing through. It takes time to do this. Usually it takes me about a day to layer a piece. But we'll get these base colors on, and then I'll start adding my colors that pop. I'll probably add some drips to it. I just want a little bit of that gold to show through, just so it kind of looks like it's a old worn metal feel, but I don't want it to feel like, oh, that's metallic, right? So that's kind of why I'm putting the weather vane over top. And when I glaze it, that's when our details are really gonna pop. But right now we're just building a base. Okay, so I am done with this side. I'm gonna turn this around and show you guys what the top looks like so you all can see it. This is totally impromptu live. I did not get ready for this. I'm in my painting clothes and it's hot, hot, hot. So let me flip this around so you guys can see it better. It's on wheels, otherwise I would not be able to do this. Alright. That's a pretty good angle for you guys, yeah? See that? I can move you a little bit. Let's show you the top real quick. If I step back. So we still have our epoxy pour. We've got our base work going on. It's such a cool desk. You can see this is where I sanded out the burn part. I added the raised stencil and I painted it a little bit of gold. So it has, you know, just kind of like a cool peekaboo effect. And I did the same over here. And then, I don't mean to make you dizzy, but I just want to show you how cool that texture is. So see those little, like the dots and stuff? That's why I sprayed alcohol on it. Because I wanted that cool kind of like crater look and effect. And then because it lit up so fast and everything, that's why they kind of stayed that way. So I'll bring you right over here and then I can keep painting. So that is what happened there. Now, I've added those raised stencils, like I said, kind of made it what I want it to be. And then I will do another epoxy pour over the top of it, just a clear coat, so it's all nice and smooth. It doesn't have any texture or dips. You could write on it, use your computer on it or whatever, and it'll be nice and smooth, but you'll still see all of that depth and dimension, which is super cool. So I think it's gonna be really neat. It's a piece that I, you know, obviously had to change plans after it lit on fire the way that it did, but I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. And so it's all right because it took me in a totally different direction. And I actually really love the peekaboo effect of the raised stencil. So for those of you just watching, I'm using Weather Vane, Oiselle Weather Vane and Chalk Synthesis paint. I'm layering it over top of black chocolate and a little bit of gold. And if you would like to learn more of my techniques, my best class to refer you to would be my stone finish class. That way I teach a lot of these techniques in there, and then you can kind of build off of it and make it your own, you know, do your own colors and looks and everything like that. I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm excited. Anyway, like I said, this was kind of a random live I didn't plan on doing, but I know a lot of you were curious why what was going on with me lighting furniture on fire. And I don't know, needed some company, so I thought I would just paint with you guys. So you guys can feel free to ask questions or chat if you want to, and I'm just gonna keep going. Thank you, Kim. It's a really fun class, and everyone in that class is really supportive. They have great ideas. They're really helpful. There's people from all over the world in it, which is really fun. I mean, there's some France, Canada, the UK, Brazil, Spain, all over the United States, South Africa, Germany, Ireland. This is kind of fun to think about. Australia, a couple from Australia. Yeah, yes. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but that's about it. But it's a fun class. It teaches you a lot. I need to go visit everybody in those countries. When can I come, guys? And that's another thing. I love Klingon brushes because look how rough I am with this brush. This was actually this was my first S50 I ever got. And it's been out for 2 years, something like that. And I'm this rough on it, and it's still just going strong. So that doesn't tell you something. I don't know what does. Oh, I'm so glad, Kim. Makes me happy. Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I think it's gonna be, okay, I'm seriously brushing with my left hand and trying to read your comments. This is not gonna end up well if I don't stop. Yeah, shoot. It's all right. Oh, and I am seriously sweating, you guys. It is toasty out here, man. Whew. They say it's like the hottest June on record for Utah right now, this early in the year. It's, yeah, it's been pretty warm. So this is a really cool piece though. It has a lot of like, it's a Hooker brand piece, and Hooker Brands is an excellent quality brand. They do really cool furniture. But it has all the bells and whistles, which is kind of fun. All the drawer pullouts, has all your electrical hookups, and it's a really nice piece. And my little fire did not affect the structure or anything of it. It just burned the epoxy, so we're good. Whew. It is. My buffet in my front room, a lot of you ask about, I do a lot of lives in front of it. Has the stone finish on it. That's a Hooker brand as well. They're just really well made. And usually a lot of you don't find them very often because, you know, when people buy them, they want to keep them because they're, you know, they last a long time. And they're super heavy. I had these guys in my backyard who were repairing like a phone line. And they actually, when I got home, they were sitting in my backyard. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Anyway, so they were waiting for their crew to come to fix the line and stuff. So I asked them if they'd help me for a minute move a piece of furniture. And they were like, yeah, no problem. And then when they got out here, I think they wished they wouldn't have because there was like 4 big guys and me pulling it out of my truck. Suckers. Okay, so now we're starting to get it toned down to where I want it. So if you look on this side, you can see more of those warm brownish tones. Come over here where I've added the weather vane and see how we're really starting to like kind of tone down. It doesn't look like you can see the texture as much on there. I mean, some of the texture in here, but as soon as I add more layers, I'm gonna add layers to lighten the parts that stick out and darken the parts that are in. And then that's really gonna give it a lot of depth and dimension and make it pop. And that's really what I teach in my stone finish class, is I teach you how to add texture, depth, and dimension. I teach you how to make it look like stone, but you can use those techniques and really just go with it. And there's a lot of good info in there too. So anyway, this is not like a promotion live, but I'm just saying, if you like it, what you're seeing, that's, you know, what you're gonna learn. And it's all organized in there too, so it's easy to find the information, you know, on how to do it. So, all right, let's get a little bit, we're gonna lighten up the handles a little bit where they go, build off that. I'm liking this kind of dark tone in here, so I'm not gonna touch that. And I'm gonna try and not touch in here. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing, I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to touch in here because I kind of like that little bright gold bit. Kind of gives it some depth. And then if I want, I can come in here and I can add some shading into those parts so it kind of pops a little bit more. Lisa says, I use the stone finish technique on so much, great class, awesome. Dodie says, I love that you can go back and find the info in the classes. Yes, that is, and you know what, it's so nice for me too, because it's all organized like into folders, right? So you go in there and you can see exactly what you're looking at or what information you need to know. All of my classes are that way. The cabinet class, back to basics, all of them, and they're broken up that way so you don't have to, you know, sort through information. You can just look and be like, oh yeah, I want to refresh on blending or whatever, and it's right there. The back to basics teaches you everything you need to know from start to finish. So if you're like, oh, I have a question on prep or whatever, it's all organized. It's super easy to find. So, all right, I'm liking that. I think that's gonna be cool. I still have my warm browns. I can see the chocolates. And I know when I add my glaze that really is going to look even more warm and even more cool, and it will kind of compete, but the glaze will blend it together. So it's gonna be red. All right, well, I'm gonna let you guys go because I'm sweating bullets and I gotta get this done so I don't melt. Have a good Saturday. Go do something cool, guys. I'll tune in when we get this finished up. See ya.